Okay, so there's big challenges for Green Bay. Matt LaFleur, great job by Tom Pelissero there. Between the two teams in this huge Week 10 game that was just revealed, Cowboys, Packers in Green Bay, November 13th, which team right now, guys, middle of May, has more question marks? Boys or Packers?
I think it's the Packers, and as we're announcing this matchup, I think the question is how many points are they going to beat the Cowboys by? This is the closest that Rodgers has been to a Super Bowl in a long time. This is a big game from him. When we get to it. And listen, there's questions about what they're going to do offensively and how do they replace Devontae, and I think those are valid. I think this matchup is very special, and I think it has a lot to do with the head coach. Aaron Rodgers will be facing his old head coach, Mike McCarthy, not for 2 or 3 years, for 13 years they spent together. And I think their relationship was good, and I think it was respectful, and I think Rodgers would rather die than lose to him. I really do. And I think that Mike McCarthy has the job as Cowboys head coach in large part because he campaigned and sold himself on all the offensive efficiency over the year and all the productivity and how my offenses move the ball and my offenses don't have turnovers. And I think that's a lot because of number 12, maybe exclusively because of number 12. I think the idea that McCarthy would beat Rodgers would be shocking to Rodgers, and I think probably personal and frustrating, and for a guy this deep in his career who is looking for those types of things. Also, I mentioned this earlier, Rodgers has had his way with the Cowboys in really big games. 7-2, and that includes losing the first time. 16-2, touchdown, interception, all that. You know, there's a funny thing I was wondering whether or not to bring this up. A few years ago, we were at Honors, and we were on the red carpet, Kay and me, and we're talking to Rodgers. Okay. And there was this little thing I'll never forget. We're talking to him, it's going great, and Rodgers is being really generous and everything. And they're doing what they do in those shows is like, go to Kevin and Melissa, go to Kevin and Melissa, go to Kevin and Melissa. And we could all hear it, and we'd see it on the monitor. Kevin and Melissa were with Dak. And Dak was a big deal then. I think this is after the 2016 season. He was the future star, and like, we kind of rushed a little bit, and I think Rodgers knew we rushed.
I love this. And behind the music.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You played my music to get to Dak?
It was a little bit of that, yes. And now he's busting chops, and he's dry as hell, and we were all in this party mode. Yeah. But I'll never forget there was a sentiment of like, you rushing me to get to that guy? And I think that was a very loaded sentiment. Not only that, like, I'm still the man, but like, I'm a Packer, and that's a Cowboy, and we beat them, and that's what we do, and like, let me finish my anecdote about how I'm doing in my offseason. And we wanted to as well. Dak was a hot get at the time. But listen, we're deep in the weeds. It just struck me. I think Rodgers feels differently about the Cowboys. He does a lot of teams in the NFC. He doesn't have an NFC rival. Who is his NFC rival? The Niners, I guess, lately. But over the scape of his career.
Seahawks for a while.
Yeah, but it's over.
NFC West.
It's over. Yeah. It's over. And I think he looks at the Cowboys differently. I think he likes beating them, and I think he likes beating Dak, and I think he will backflip to beat McCarthy.
Completely oblivious to this being a thing that day.
Yeah,
didn't
different
notice
things
it all.
stick with you. That stuck with me.
They just remember they were like, go get him.
Yeah.
And I went like
that was great.
a Rottweiler straight at him, like you're coming with me, and then we pulled him up.
And you landed
I was probably like full of adrenaline and missed that completely.
Yeah. Well, he was great, but like I think we waved off a couple of times with the producer. Imagine that. And then they're like, we have to get to Melissa and Kevin. They've got Dak Prescott. We're like, we got Rodgers, and like I think he picked up on that. You know what I mean? It was. I'll never forget.
Kyle and I were like, oh, we're not on Good Morning Football.
Yeah, we're going to go on for 12 minutes.
He's very aware, and he never forgets a thing. He doesn't forget a slight.
Not at all.
That's why I have no questions about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I don't have any questions about whether or not they can finish the game and whether or not Aaron Rodgers is going to light it up. Yeah. My questions are with the Cowboys. My questions are, can they actually close a game out? Our last vision of them was butchering the end-of-game scenario against the 49ers at home. Dak Prescott with the quarterback draw at the end. They're trying to spike the ball. And you know what? Like, just them not finishing games has a recurring theme for them. So I'm just curious how Dak Prescott plays without his closer. He doesn't have Amari Cooper. He doesn't have his go-to guy. In that playoff game that I was talking about, biggest game of the season. Leading receiver was Dalton Schultz. All due respect to Dalton. I love him. He's phenomenal. But you got Gallup, you got CeeDee Lamb, and yet those two guys didn't show up.
I've been hearing about CeeDee Lamb for 2 years. I hope this is the year.
That's I'm
waiting for him to explode. So those are my questions for the Cowboys. I'm sure their defense is going to be fine, but offensively, can they keep pace?
They gave CeeDee Lamb the ball in these big spots. He would be that guy. I have questions about everything with the Cowboys, and this offseason was not good for the Cowboys. I'm sorry, Dallas fans. It was not a good offseason. When you look at the compensation that they got for Amari Cooper compared to what the compensation that the Packers got for Devontae Adams and what Tyreek Hill got, what A.J. Brown got, Tom Pelissero mentioned this last week on the show. It's like, did the Cowboys trade Amari too soon? Look at, why did they only get a fifth? Did they just get fleeced on this trade? This makes no sense. A.J. Brown gets a first and a third. Devontae gets a first and a second. Tyreek gets a first, a second, 2 fourths. And Amari only gets a fifth and a sixth? It was like they dumped Amari just because? All right, well, that's one thing. Then we look at all these different losses. I'm not so concerned about Cedric Wilson Jr., but Lyle Collins, Connor Williams, and then the last one, Randy Gregory was all set to go to Dallas, didn't like the language, backed out of that deal, then goes to Denver. It's like,
questions.
There's stuff off the field with the team. We don't know what's going on with the organization at large. I don't feel good about the Cowboys right now. And yes, I think they're still the favorites in the NFC East, but who's got more questions? I don't know. There's a lot of departures from the Cowboys, and they ended their season in a pretty terrible way, where we were left with question marks on how that all went down, the communication from the sideline to the quarterback, and none of that's changed. So, with the exception of Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott and Dan Quinn, I don't feel great about the Cowboys. I think they have a lot more question marks than the Packers, even without Devontae Adams.
If you're wondering out there why we are sizing up these two teams, it's because we just found out we are facing each other on November 13th. It'll be on Fox, the late afternoon window, getting that treatment. And I think we should just take a moment quickly to talk about Adams in this matchup. And you guys can go with me on this. You think about what this rivalry will look like, if you can call it a rivalry, without him. He had a quiet rookie season, Davante Adams, and then he jumped off the map. So let's go just back into history and appreciate the massive part of this thing over the years he's played. This is 2014. The Des Cottick game after a quiet rookie season explodes. It's his first playoff appearance. He has 7 for $117 and an insane touchdown. Packers win. 2017 in Dallas, which we talked about, of course, under 20 seconds to go. And then I feel like he's had the most clutch moments in this rivalry.
Winner here.
Not even Rodgers. It's Davante Adams all over it. So who makes the clutch plays in these games for the Packers this year, Kyle?
That's a good question. That's what we keep asking. When this game is played, November 13th, Christian Watson, how many touchdowns does he have so far? This is the guy that they drafted in the second round out of North Dakota State. He's supposed to be their next second round great, like Devontae is. When they get to that game, is he a thing? Is he sitting on 4, 5, 6 touchdowns? Is he still finding his way like Amari Rodgers was? I don't know who's making the clutch. I think Tanyan's really good, and I think Lazard is what he is, and those are good players, but there's no Devontae.
Yeah.
I've said
Sammy
it over
Watkins, does that do anything?
No. I think they're going to run the hell out of the ball with those 2 running backs, and I think their defense is going to be really good.
Knowing what you know about Aaron, how is he feeling? Is he like, I can do it without Devontae, or is he...
It's an interesting season for him, right?
Is he happy to hear you say they're going to run the hell out of the ball?
Well, I remember right after the draft, he was on McAfee, and he said defense wins championships. And I remember I've heard him say that before. He likes to hype the defense, but... They're playing Dallas. They need that Devontae play. I don't know who it's going to be yet. And I don't know how happy he is. I think he probably would have liked one of those first-round receivers.
It'd be interesting to pay that guy all that money to run the football, have him hand the ball off.
Yeah.
Well, they're also paying the left tackle who hasn't played in a year, and he's going to be back. Let's hope that Bakhtiari can help that.
Is Randall Cobb back?
No doubt.
Is Randall Cobb
TBD.
there?
Randall Cobb? TBD.
Okay.